Am I getting punked right now? What is going on? It looks like the Buffalo Bills are about to give the Denver Broncos a huge gift as one of their star players. Status for Sunday is uncertain as he has missed team practice so far this week with family issues. You add that together with just some of the advanced analytics that we're going to look at in this video, and I'm insanely perplexed how the Denver Broncos are 8.5-point underdogs on the road in Buffalo on Sunday. We're going to break down like what is going on. Am I getting catfished? Is Manti Te'o or Ashton Kutcher here? Like, what's happening? Help me make this make sense. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben. Helps me out a ton if you like the Broncos too, and you think we have a fighting chance to beat Buffalo on Sunday. It helps me out if you like and subscribe. We know this year for the Buffalo Bills was supposed to be a rebuild year. They lost their best safety. They lost Gabe Davis. They lost Stephon Diggs. And they kind of convinced themselves that like adding a receiver who was on the wrong side of 30 would be their ticket to succeed. And like, oh, we can replace those players with Amari Cooper, which we remember from playing for the Raiders. He's been a journeyman all over the place, and he hasn't popped off, and he hasn't been anyone who would give you worries whatsoever when you have the best corner in football in Patrick Surtain. I was feeling great about this matchup. We saw Pat Surtain take out the Triple Crown winner in Jamar Chase. He has played way better receivers and locked them down all year than Amari Cooper, and it looks like Amari Cooper might miss this game as he has not returned to team practice. So like hope everything is okay with him. Obviously to miss at this point of the year, it must be something pretty serious, but the coach came out and said like, hey, we're just taking it day at a time. I hope he's back. But the fact that he is missing out on preparing for what I think is probably the toughest defense he has played yet this year, and we're going to look at that in a second. I think this is a great thing for the Denver Broncos that already I felt good about this matchup, and I feel even better about it. The Buffalo Bills like come into this game with an insane amount of confidence, saying like, oh, we've got the league MVP. Josh Allen, of course he's going to ball out over Bo Nix. Who would you rather have, Josh Allen or Bo Nix? But it is insane to me just to see like how close these two dudes have actually been statistically and how not scared I am of Josh Allen. And I don't think that's going to jinx me. I've been talking big on these Broncos all year, but if you just look at it objectively and you hide their faces and their names, you look that Bo Nix has thrown for more yards than Josh Allen, and he's thrown for more touchdowns, and he's run for more touchdowns. And so the fact that Josh Allen is like this unanimous MVP is crazy to me. And actually, if you really look at it and look at who the best quarterbacks in football are, you could make an argument that we've played quarterbacks 10 times this year who have been better than Josh Allen. And you look at Joe Burrow, obviously more touchdowns, more yardage, and Bo Nix went toe-to-toe with him, and it took overtime to beat Bo Nix. You look, we played Baker Mayfield, and we boat raced Baker Mayfield and stopped him. He's had a better year than Josh Allen. We played Lamar Jackson, and yes, he beat us. That's the only game all year we've lost by more than a touchdown. So that's, again, why I hate this being an 8.5-point line. I think that's disrespectful. We've played Patrick Mahomes one time. We played Aaron Rodgers, again, more statistical, a better statistical year. We've played Justin Herbert twice, and both of those were close games that really came down to it. And even if you look at touchdowns, which, you know, they'll be like, well, he isn't leading when it comes to yardage, but he's doing really well when it comes to touchdowns. You're looking that Bo Nix has outplayed him when it comes to yards thrown and touchdowns thrown. And a lot of people look at all of Bo Nix's interceptions and be like, oh, he's Bo Picks. How many of those interceptions have happened? I know I can think of at least 2 that were Hail Marys at the end of the game trying to come back to it. And I think most of Bo Nix's interceptions outside of those first couple weeks were tipped balls that weren't his fault, that Sean Payton came out and were like, hey, that was on me, not on Bo Nix. And so you're not seeing this night and day difference between Bo Nix and Josh Allen. And I know that sounds like the ultimate home take of all time, but you're just not. And like the facts are the facts. The data is the data. Josh Allen should not be running away with the MVP. I am way more scared of Lamar Jackson than I am Josh Allen, especially when you are now taking away his only wide receiver who you would even call a wide receiver one. I bet most like solid football fans couldn't name a wide receiver outside of Amari Cooper. You might be able to name their new rookie wide receiver, but most of the attention for the rookie wide receiver is the fact that the Buffalo Bills didn't take Xavier Worthy and let the Chiefs get him. No one talks about Keon Coleman being a scary player or a difference maker. So I'm feeling very good about that matchup. And when you actually go game by game, like you can easily look at their total wins and be scared by the number of wins that they had. But if you look at them, there is no win on here that you're just like, oh man, we can't equal that. We haven't had a win nearly as good as that. Like you're squeaking by Cardinals who don't make the playoffs. You barely beat the Dolphins once they actually had Tua for the whole game. They beat them by a field goal. They're barely beating the Jets. You know, we played the Jets much better than they did. You're beating the Lions, but you're letting the Lions, who are really dinged up, drop 42 on you. This game against the Patriots, who no doubt are one of the worst teams in football, the Patriots almost beat you when they were full strength. And then, yeah, you took care of business with the Jets, and then you lost with backups here. But I just don't see a win on there other than the Kansas City Chiefs game, which was kind of the Buffalo Bills Super Bowl that made me be like, oh, that's an absolutely terrifying team. So when you really like break this down, Josh Allen and Bo Nix, sure, right now you would take Josh Allen, but it's not that huge of a difference between Bo Nix and Josh Allen. Then when it comes to defense, who would you take, the Broncos defense or the Bills defense? There is no question that you would take the Broncos defense. Like when it comes to total points allowed per game, the Broncos are in the top 3 in the league, averaging 18 points given up per game. And then you look at the Buffalo Bills, they average like 4 points per game more than the Broncos, and they give up quite a bit more yardage as well. As you see the Broncos here being in the top 10 when it comes to yardage allowed, and the Buffalo Bills, you got to scroll down quite a bit here. Buffalo Bills, like who's their next best player outside of Josh Allen? You could say the second best Cook brother as a running back there is pretty decent. Von Miller, who we saw like the ceiling for Von Miller. And you look at how good that matchup is for the Denver Broncos, as we have Quinn Miners really lining up against Von Miller. I think he is going to shut Von Miller down this game. And so you're looking at really strength on strength there, that they got Von, but we got one of the best guards in the league who got snubbed for the Pro Bowl, and you know he's going to be wanting to make a point. I think you then look at who's the better coach. Do you want Sean McDermott, who's never been able to get it done, who's 500 in the playoffs with Josh Allen, this generational talent, or do you want a guy who took one of the most laughable franchises in all of football in the New Orleans Saints and won a Super Bowl with him and revitalized a city, and took this team from 5 wins to now being in the playoffs with the most dead cap in NFL history? And I don't think it should be an 8-point favorite for the Buffalo Bills. I think the Denver Broncos are going to shock the world, and it is not just me who thinks that. Is actually a Kansas City Chiefs cornerback actually thinks the very same thing. Josh Williams from Kansas City was on the Kay Adams show. She's a big fan of Denver and everything we're doing here.
A lot of people might think the Bills just easily have it, but
a lot of people think the Bills might easily have it. Yeah, like 8.5-point favorites.
Denver's a good team. And so, we're excited to see how that plays out.
We're excited to see how that plays out. Like, they're already in their mind. Like, they're excited to play us again. They think they have our number. They don't. It took a last-second field goal. We have just seen Bo Nix go toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow. We've seen him go toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers. We've seen him go toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes. I think this is a much better matchup than folks are saying. I hope you have not stopped Bo-LIEVE. We haven't seen the ceiling for this. Sean Payton has talked all week about how dangerous Young and Hungry is. Watching his post-game like hype-up thing in the locker room. You got Fog Machine there. People are going wild, losing their minds here. And you just hear Sean Payton say,
one thing that's real important, don't you ever forget it. Young and hungry is dangerous.
So Young and Hungry is dangerous. The Bills, like this, everything has been building to this. The Bills' entire franchise is about how many times they've lost back-to-back-to-back Super Bowls under the Kelly era. We are going in with house money, having just beat the back-to-back Super Bowl champions 38-0. We're playing without a care in the world. Like we're going in loose and excited. They're going in tight and feeling all the pressure. And I think that is a great recipe for the Denver Broncos, shocking the world. Let me know, what am I missing in this, and what do you think we have a shot? Let me know. Broncos Country, we got a ton to Bo-LIEVE. I better start dunking.